what is stopping them to take action.
The interesting thing is when I started this business, I started talking a lot about self-doubt, and nobody really resonated with this whole idea that they have self-doubt. No, I haven't got that, but I do procrastinate, or I am a perfectionist, or I have imposter syndrome. I have all these other symptoms, which are really just symptoms of self-doubt, symptoms of the messages that we tell ourselves. And so I've learned to sort of talk about it in different ways. And this negative voice shows up.
Welcome everybody, welcome to Podcast with Dimpy, where we dive into real conversation and fresh insights. And today we have got Paul with us, who has helped already countless coaches rewire their mindset, elevate their confidence, and attracted premium clients for them. So welcome Paul to this podcast.
Thank you so much, Dimpy. It's a pleasure to be here speaking with you.
I'm sure today, if you are a coach, you are hearing to this podcast, you'll get so much information of how you can attract, or what are the obstacles which is stopping you to attract premium clients, and how you can attract premium clients to your business. Yeah, Paul?
Yes, absolutely. There's such an important shift in mindset, or important ways of sort of showing up that really help businesses to grow in really powerful ways.
So, Paul, I like to start with my first question is, what inspired you to start helping coaches specifically what I understand that you're helping them with negative self-talk. So what is that which inspired you to help them on this topic?
Yes. Well, great. Well, I have to say I wasn't originally inspired to help simply coaches, but I was inspired to really work with that inner critic, that little voice in our head, the negative self-talk.
Yeah.
And that I found satisfying and powerful and transformative. And what was interesting is that over time, I discovered that more and more of my clients were coaches, which is not what I was expecting or going to look for, but that's who showed up. And so I do work with a lot of coaches these days.
That is awesome. I think coaching industry itself has got a lot of boom. It's $1 billion industry, and many people, they can actually form a career in this field. But I also, being into this field earlier, I felt that I also struggled a lot. I wish I could have a mentor like you, because I was not able to understand where I am stuck. What is that missing factor which is not helping me attract the premium clients? So tell me, Paul, do even high performing coaches, they also come to you with some inner struggles? What is the most common challenges people come to you?
Well, yes. I mean, we all have this little voice in our head which has been trained, shall we say, in more negative ways than positive.
Yeah.
And the trick is really just to retrain it so it's more positive. So coaches, whether they're experienced or not, or anyone, we all have these little habits of thought that we've developed which are not helpful. The interesting thing is when I started this business, I started talking a lot about self-doubt, and nobody really resonated with this whole idea that they have self-doubt. No, I haven't got that. That's not a problem for me.
Yeah.
But I do procrastinate, or I am a perfectionist, or I have imposter syndrome. I have all these other symptoms, which are really just symptoms of self-doubt, symptoms of the messages that we tell ourselves. And so I've learned to sort of talk about it in different ways. And this negative voice shows up in an unbelievably huge number of ways, not just procrastination and imposter syndrome and perfectionism and anxiety and shyness and bravado, and the list could go on and on. But when we can sort of begin to recognize that the reason those things are showing up is based on the messages that we tell ourselves, then we're getting to the root of things.
Awesome. So you mentioned very nicely that people don't accept that they doubt themselves, but the other challenges are the real problems where they're procrastinating, or what is stopping them to take action. So you told few things. One is procrastination, what I understand, perfectionism also. What are the other things? What are the signs which people can take that actually it is the negative self-talk which is holding them, or these are the signs which is holding them to take action?
Yeah. So first of all, this negative self-talk, it can show up in hundreds and hundreds of different ways.
Yeah.
How do you know that that's what's going on for you in any particular instance? I think we need to really get underneath the messages that you're telling yourself? What is really going on underneath, shall we say, the surface level? I can think of one client for whom procrastination was a real issue. He kept
Yeah.
putting things off and putting things off and putting things off. Well, through our conversation, we discovered that when he would put things off and then suddenly at the last minute have to sort of rush through things and I get this big adrenaline rush about doing this task,
Yeah.
turns out he loved that feeling of the adrenaline rush, that this helped him feel alive and present and more productive at any other time in his life. Well, if that's the case, who wouldn't procrastinate? But
Absolutely.
he could also see how that procrastination was causing him problems in other parts of his life. And so when we were able to uncover what was important to him, feeling alive, being present, having this vital experience, well, then we opened up other ways to find those things without the procrastination. So if you sort of look underneath what's really going on, what is it that you really want, that can help give you clues that whether this is, this negative self-talk or something else.
Yeah. So you mentioned what you really want deep down is why, why you're doing this is also an important factor in this journey, because what I understand from procrastination, that one is your why is not very, very strong. What do you want is not clear. So what are the different things, solutions, which they need to either introspect themselves or they need to work so that they can overcome this procrastination?
So you're right, getting to that why, what's really underneath. When we figure that out, then there is motivation, then there's inspiration to follow through on whatever that is.
Yeah.
It's possible they may discover, oh, I'm chasing the wrong thing. No wonder I'm procrastinating. Well, okay, let's chase something else.
Yeah,
you
yeah.
know, but getting to that underlying reason of what's really going on, that clears away so many confusing things. And all of a sudden we're able to put our attention in ways that are productive. We avoid procrastination because, I don't need the procrastination to create the adrenaline rush, for instance, in the experience of
Yeah.
one of my clients, or whatever it is. I don't need procrastination in order to avoid feeling like I might be humiliated. We sort of deal with that other issue, and then procrastination tends to go away on itself. That's actually what I find interesting, is we experience all these, shall we say, outer blocks,
Yeah.
things that are out there sort of blocking us. But when we get underneath and figure out what's really going on, get to the core of the messages that we're telling ourselves, that tends to solve all of these other issues quite easily.
That is awesome, But is there any tool, Paul, to help, someone now once they're aware? Okay, now okay, these are the blockages. So is there some tool which you recommend to all your clients or people who are watching this video? Okay, now they are aware that these are the challenges. But I feel that many of people, they try, they push themselves, but then also they're not able to do so. Is there some tool, is there some hack which you can share in this podcast with us, with other audience who is speaking, who is listening to this?
Yes, absolutely. I'm not sure I would necessarily call it a hack exactly, because it's not a flip some little switch and we're done. But
Yeah.
there is a very powerful process that I've developed. I've actually written a book about it, this process that I use with my clients. And if you're interested, I can sort of share with you sort of 4 parts of that process.
Yeah, we'd love to do that if you can. Yes.
Absolutely. So the first part is to really recognize that the messages that we're telling ourselves are just thoughts. They're not who we are. Some people may say, well, that's not a big deal. I mean, this is no surprise. And that was kind of my thought at first too. I thought, well, it's
Yeah.
important to realize they're not thoughts, but big deal.
Hmm.
But I remember talking with some clients who were so identified with their thoughts. They thought that's who they were. That
Yeah,
this
they can't
idea
change
that they're,
themselves.
yes, that the idea that they're not their thoughts, it was a huge relief. So that's the first thing. Recognize you are not your thoughts. They're
Yeah.
just thoughts that are going on in your mind, and we have a million of them.
Yeah, yeah.
The process that I use looks a little more closely at what these thoughts were. As I was talking about what's underneath the procrastination, our negative self-talk, in my belief, are virtually always based on some sort of a lie. And so let's find out, what is the lie underneath this negative self-talk? And once you figure that out, once you figure out what's really at the bottom, then we have something to deal with, a direction that's meaningful. Now, the third part of the process is to create a new thought, something that you want to become a new belief. This is basically creating an affirmation. And of course, some people love affirmations.
Yeah.
Some have tried them and found them to be kind of ineffective, useless, kind of a waste of time. And I am willing to wager that those who fall into that second camp were probably using an affirmation that wasn't quite the right one for
To them.
them. Yes. And so that's the first part of the process, is to figure out, what does this new affirmation, what does this new message need to be about? What do we need to address? And so then you create this new message. And once you've created a new message that really speaks to you emotionally, that's inspiring, that feels really great, then you use, well, skills I developed in my earlier career as a classical musician. You practice this new thought. You do it so many times that it becomes automatic. You don't have to get rid of the old thoughts.
Yeah.
You just put your attention to the new ones, and the old ones tend to sort of evaporate like smoke. So in a very, very brief nutshell, that's sort of the process that I use with my clients to help sort of reprogram that negative voice.
One of the thing which you just shared with me, it's a little bulb moment for me, which is a sentence which it is appealing to someone may not appeal to other person, same affirmation. So the difference of words can be a different value to another person, and that's
Yes.
why I think customization of affirmation or what affects them more is also critical in this journey. That was
Absolutely.
a bad moment for me too. Yeah, amazing.
Yes. And what's interesting is, when I ask my clients, so what's the new message that you would like to hear from this voice? They will almost, the first thing they come with is almost always just the opposite of the old negative one, which of course is better than the negative one. But all that does is it creates an argument with the old one, which just keeps the old message alive.
Yeah.
So what we need to do is we need to address the issue that was uncovered in that second phase,
Yeah.
but not in a way that makes an argument with it. We have to do a little end run
More
around.
empowering, not argumental, but empowering.
Yes, yes, absolutely. And so when you get that really powerful one, then it's fun to practice and it's easy to make that a new habit.
Amazing. So my next question my next question to Paul will be, most of the coaches when they start with, they usually hesitate to ask premium commercials to the clients, and especially in this mindset, niche, people find it very, very difficult to ask good money from the clients. So how do you help your coaches, your clients, to correct their money mindset around it?
So there's a couple of things. Negative self-talk almost always comes down to a question of our own worthiness. And so that is one part of it. If you see yourself as worthy, it's easier to charge money. So
Yeah.
that's one aspect of it. But I think a really, really important and really common one is, so many people have a mindset that's based on scarcity, that there's only so much to go around in this world. And when that's what we believe, then that's what we experience, that I only have so much money, and so everything sort of feels expensive, and who else could afford this, and how is it possible? I know when I was experiencing scarcity, my own scarce thoughts around money, the people who showed up to talk to me about coaching were people who didn't have money. When I was able to change my own view of abundance and the way I experience it,
Amazing.
all of a sudden the people who showed up, yes, they could pay me even though my prices were higher. So I think a lot of it has to do with dealing with our own mindset around money. What is our relationship to it? What does money mean to us? And when we can have a healthy one about that, then all that, what I want to say, sort of angst around money, all that struggle we have around it kind of goes away, and it becomes much easier.
Okay, that is awesome. Yes, definitely everyone needs to correct. Even I had a lot of challenges when I began my journey asking premium commercials around my service. So it was difficult, but I had a mentor who helped me correct, how firstly to, believe on my worth and my credentials to ask premium amount. So that is awesome. So, Paul, for coaches who are starting out, And once they correct their mindset, how they are supposed to take steps so that they can earn in dollars maybe around 10K a month. What will you suggest? What can be the steps for them to earn a lot of money?
If you've got your mindset fixed, shall we say, I don't want to say that there was something broken about it in the first place, but if you've got your mindset in a way that is supportive of you, that has an abundant view of the world, all sorts of things come much easier. When I do business coaching
Yeah.
with my clients, I think the most important thing is being in alignment with your own values, your own goals, your own energies. Because I've seen so many people do all the right things in terms of marketing and pricing and how do you do sales and still not
And
make it
also
work.
get stuck.
And I've seen people who do everything wrong and they've got this thriving business. So it's not, in my belief, so much of exactly what you do. What you do, the question is it in alignment with you? Do you believe in it? Or is there some sort of inner struggle going on within you? Because once you get aligned, then it's really easy and things come quickly. And the other thing I will also say, which I've learned myself the hard way, is that you don't have to do all the marketing channels. Pick one or two that's in alignment with you, that you love, that you would do whether you made any money or not. Do those channels and then focus on them ridiculously faithful. And over time, that will work.
Amazing. So this is so true when there are few people who are not doing any marketing, but then also they're attracting premium clients. And there are people who are doing so many stuff, technical stuff, and they're not able to attract clients. So it's all about frequency, right? Having right frequency, right energy. So you mentioned it very, very correctly, and I agree on this thing that when I look back, why I was struggling, I felt that yes, I, I was not speaking positive, I was not radiating positive. So how can I even attract premium clients? That is not possible. So I think you told it. So I like to play a small role play with you, Paul. Like I'm a client of, I have just come as a a coaching client, and if I say that I feel that I feel I'm not doing good, or maybe I don't think I'm 42. I feel that it's too late. Is it too late? I doubt myself. I feel that will I succeed where all the younger generation are succeeding? Okay, so what would you like to say to me?
Well, I would first ask questions around scarcity, actually, because when we believe there isn't enough time, this is around scarcity. That it's too late for things. I can't do this. It's like, what makes you think it's too late?
Oh,
But
okay.
ask questions like this: why do you think this is too late? Because I can share a story. I heard an interview with a gentleman on the radio a few years back who had just won a prize for his
Yeah.
poetry, and he was 95 when he won this prize. And they asked him when he started writing poetry, and he said, "When I was 90."
Oh my God.
So, so there isn't a too late.
Yeah.
In all honesty, I was asking myself that question when I went from being a musician to a coach. I was in my 50s at that time. It was like, what do I think I'm doing? And if I had the thought that this is too late, I can't move forward, this felt like doors were closing. This felt awful. Like, so now what? But when I said it doesn't matter how old I am, this is just the direction I'm going to go, that's when doors open. That felt good. That's when I knew it doesn't matter what stage of life I'm in or how old I am or what does it, if this is what I'm being called to do, that's where you go. That's aligning your energy.
Amazing, amazing. And then there was a recent news which is everywhere. In fact, Warren Buffett, he's retiring at the age of 95. So it is incredible. So there's no, definitely, I also believe there is no age bar. People, if they have the right mindset, they have the right energy, they can do anything they want. But Paul, what will you like to say people who are not in the right energy and they want to elevate their energy? They understand they are supposed to, work on their energy, or they're supposed to work on their mindset. What will you suggest them? What can be their steps to get to the right frequency?
Yeah, well, the first thing I would say is just simply acknowledge the fact that they realize they're feeling out of alignment. That is huge. So many people go through life without even awareness of that. So that fact is already a giant step in the right direction. So once you recognize that fact, then what? How do you find yourself aligned? Well, it tends to be a lot quicker, often easier to work with somebody who understands energetic alignment, that they can help coach, help train, help bring you into a way of being that is
Yeah.
in alignment.
Yeah.
Can you find it yourself? Sure, people have. It's probably slower.
Mm.
It's going to take more time, more energy. But if you find someone who's really attuned to energy and to alignment and to following their bliss, as Joseph Campbell used to say, that's going to help you along your process much quicker.
That is awesome. Yes, we need to correct this one at least. So, Paul, what is that? What's one belief which people have which they need to work if they want to grow their business? One is negative self-talk, which is all you are an expert in this topic, and I really felt that energy that you. And when I go back and recall my past, I feel that definitely I was having a lot of negative self-talk. But what are the other blockages which people need to correct before they grow their business?
I think, again, one of the most important ones, which is not unrelated to negative self-talk, but it's not exactly the same, is that when I look at somebody else with a successful business, if I copy what they did, I will have a successful business. That was their path. There may be lots of great things to learn from other people's paths, but in the end, you have to create your own path. There's your way to build your business. If you
Yeah.
try to build your business the way I have built mine, it's probably not going to work because you're not me. I'm not you. So that is sort of the other thing. In some ways, that's not a very satisfying answer for somebody who just wants to say, tell me what to do. Here's the answer. I
Yeah.
don't have that kind of an answer because it depends on you and your alignment, what you feel drawn to, where your energy is.
Yeah.
So, but having said that, are there things that, shall we say, are required to have a business that works? Well, yes. I think there are basically four things that people need to figure out in order to have a business that works. One is get really, really clear on what you do. What is it that you're selling? Because if you are not crystal clear on exactly what that is, nobody else is going to know.
Yeah. Yeah.
And once you have that clarity, well, then you have to tell people. Often I think service providers feel sort of, they want to be of service and they don't want to say anything. They don't want to
Yeah.
make this about them. Well, if nobody knows what you do, they can't hire you.
Need to be
So
visible. Yes.
yes, you have to tell people. Um, and the next thing is you have to be able to make a sale. And what I mean by this is more than just a sales conversation of getting somebody to buy, but it's creating a pathway so that once people learn that you exist and what you do, there's a pathway for them to become a client, to learn more about you. This is marketing. What is happening? Is this somebody I trust? How do they solve problems? What are the problems? So some pathway that leads towards a sales conversation. And once they become a client, well, you need to be clear on how you're going to
Stop
deliver the
them.
goods. How will you honor your commitment, your promise to them and to yourself? And once you figure out those four things, clarify what you do. How do you attract the people? What is the process for sales? And then how do you deliver the goods? Once you've got that figured out and work the details out, you've got a business that can work.
Wow, you have made it very very simple for all the people who are listening to this. And yes, I do feel that these are the four very very important things which every person, not just coach, but any person who is any selling any service, they need to have clarity of these four things. And otherwise, they will struggle. They will try to just keep on rolling. And of course,
Yes.
having a mentor, I believe in having mentors. I completely believe in having mentors. I believe having a mentor can speed up your journey. It's not that you can't do it yourself, but it will speed up your journey, right?
Yes. If you don't like the slow lane, support will help.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Paul, so I want, what will be the last thing which you will like to say to our audience? Because I wanted to ask you before this question is, you have come a long way in this journey. So, what are the challenges you personally faced in this journey, and how did you overcome it?
Well, the biggest obstacle, of course, was my own negative self-talk.
Yeah.
And and working through that and discovering what was really going on underneath all these messages. What was it I was really believing about myself? In what ways were those beliefs just simply not true? And what do I believe is true of me, of anybody really, in our value and our worth? And once I was able to sort of work through those things, that's when things opened up. And what I would really love to leave with people and share is that your thoughts, first of all, are not you. We've talked about that a little bit. And they're changeable. They are changeable. There's a process to do that. It is not complicated. It's only as hard as you believe it will be hard. And when you're able to reprogram your thoughts, you completely change the way you experience life. And so just that one thing, dealing with your own thoughts, opens up everything else. That's what I want to share, is that there is a possibility for everyone to live into the kind of life that they really want to experience. And so much of it starts with how you talk to yourself.
That is amazing. I completely believe that everything, revolves on how we're talking. If things are not going well, then you need to introspect that how you're talking to yourself. You are
Yeah.
somewhere going wrong there. So that was such an amazing thing. Thank you, Paul, for having this conversation with us. We will be putting up all the links, details about Paul. You can go through it, and if you want to reach out to Paul, please reach out to Paul through the links below. Thank you, Paul, once again.
Thank you, Dimpy. It was a pleasure.